Greetings and peace. I would like to start this with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace be with you and yours. Today I would like to talk about the Masonic double-headed eagle, Rite, which appears in the ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry and in the various Masonic symbolisms of the double-headed eagle, which I would like to describe from the Islamic and Sufi perspective, and how it predates those systems. So without further ado, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy this. A disclaimer that this presentation is intended for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not affiliated with any Masonic lodge, religious authority, or initiatic order. The material presented here draws from academic sources, historical studies, and esoteric commentaries to explore symbolism, parallels, and philosophical themes. The purpose is not to promote joining Masonic or fraternal organizations, but to understand shared universal symbols and metaphysical teachings that have inspired civilizations. Viewers are encouraged to consult primary text and respected scholars for deeper study. See the Islam, Sufism, and Freemasonry playlist on my channel for related materials, and of course check out the references tab in the end as well. Symbols form the sacred alphabet of esotericism, an invisible grammar through which divine realities are expressed. From the Quran parables to Masonic architecture, symbols reveal what words conceal. The double-headed eagle belongs to this metaphysical language, representing the union of opposites and the vision that perceives both the earthly and celestial domains. In mystical traditions, such as Sufism, Tasawwuf, symbols are not decorative, they are instruments of zikr, remembrance of unity. Similarly, Masonic teachings use allegory and geometry to awaken the perception beyond form. Both systems see symbols as mirrors of the inner intellect, the Aql al-Batin, that contemplates divine wisdom. Long before its adoption by the Masonic Scottish Rite, the double-headed eagle appeared in Mesopotamia, which is Iraq, Hittite Anatolia, Turkey, and Persia, Iran. Archaeological finds from the Alakuyuk and Nineveh show twin-headed eagles guarding thrones, symbols of dual sovereignty over heaven and earth. The two heads represented the cosmic east and west, the seen and unseen realms. As the symbol traveled westward through the Byzantine Empire and eastward through the Persian world, it absorbed the metaphysical notion of total vision. The dual gaze embodied the balance of Jalal, majesty, and Jamal, beauty, right, which is echoed in Sufi metaphysics centuries later. The Byzantine emperors adopted the double-headed eagle as a mark of imperial dominion, Rome reborn in east and west. When the Seljuks of Rum conquered Anatolia, they preserved the emblem, transforming its imperial power into a mystical banner of divine unity. The eagle adorned mosques and fortresses from Konya to Erzurum. Sufi masters in these regions, particularly those of the Mevlevi and Bektashi orders, reinterpreted the eagle as the soul in ascension. Its two heads signified Zahir, outer form, and Batin, inner essence. Thus, the symbol became an early bridge between Christian, Byzantine gnosis, and Islamic esotericism. While the Quran does not mention the eagle directly, it constantly invokes flight and ascent as metaphors of the soul's journey toward divine light. The eagle became an image of Ruh al-Quds, the Holy Spirit that elevates consciousness beyond limitation. Its wings symbolize the dual movement of descent, manifestation, and ascent, return. In Sufi cosmology, the eagle corresponds to the intellect purified by remembrance. As Ibn al-Arabi writes, the wings of the Gnostic are knowledge and love. This dynamic equilibrium between intellect and love reflects the same dual sovereignty that the double-headed eagle embodies. The Holy Quran proclaims, Rabbu al-Mashriqi wal Rabbu al-Maghribi, the Lord of the two east and the two west, from Surah 55, verse 17. Commentators interpret this verse as an allusion to the cyclical polarity of existence, sunrise and sunset, manifest and hidden, spirit and matter. Allah as the One encompasses all dualities. Now, Sufi commentators such as Al-Qurayshi and Rusbihan Bakli read this verse as a revelation of the Tawheed al-Zawjiyah, the unity within pairs. The double-headed eagle thus becomes a cosmic metaphor of this verse, the single body of unity with two faces of manifestation. The two heads of the eagle mirror the dialectic of Jalal and Jamal, wrath and mercy, rigor and compassion. Both emanate from the divine essence. In human experience, they appear as the intellect that analyzes and the heart that unites, two wings of a single flight. Freemasonry's allegories also speak of reconciliation between opposites, light and darkness, east and west, male and female, principles, Rite the black and white tiles. The initiate learns, as the Sufi does, that true balance, mizan, arises not from the denial, but from integration. So you even have the two pillars of King Solomon's temple, strength and beauty. But the third pillar, which is the middle path, is wisdom. You must walk with wisdom. Alchemical manuscripts from the Islamic Golden Age often show birds with dual heads or dual wings, representing the conjunctions of opposites, sulfur and mercury, sun and moon. Jabir ibn Hayyan, right, Jabir, refers to the two natures that must be united in the vessel of wisdom. These images later appeared in Hermetic Europe, eventually inspiring Masonic iconography. When the double-headed eagle entered the Scottish Rite, it retained its alchemical essence, transformation through dual awareness. The motto, Ordo ab Chaos, order out of chaos, echoes the alchemist's quest to reconcile conflicting elements into the stone of unity. Masonry, like Sufism, is structured as a science of symbols, an initiatic method that refines perception. Its tools and emblems conceal metaphysical truths. The compass symbolizes divine measure, the square human limitation, and the temple the perfected self. Within this architecture, the double-headed eagle reigns as emblem of spiritual sovereignty. The eagle's two heads gaze east and west, the symbolic directions of illumination and material manifestation. The initiate learns to see both simultaneously, transcending duality. This is the royal secret hinted at in higher degrees, equilibrium within multiplicity. And also within that royal secret, you are taught to put your trust in God, right? Not to sell out, but to put your trust in God. In the Scottish Rite, the double-headed eagle represents supreme spiritual power and the completion of the initiatic journey. Traditionally crowned and bearing a sword, it signifies the master who has united heaven and earth within himself. The two heads correspond to temporal and spiritual authority, reconciled in divine wisdom. Albert Pike, the chief American exponent of the Rite, described it as the symbol of the true adept who, rising above the shadows, contemplates both past and future in the eternal now. This mirrors Ibn Arabi's doctrine of the perfect man, the Al-Insan al-Kamil. The 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite, titled The Sublime Prince of the Royal Secret, culminates in a revelation of the secret of equilibrium, right, with the story of Constance. It teaches that truth is not in opposition but harmony, the reconciliation of mercy and justice. The double-headed eagle is its emblem, for he perceives both wings of the divine will. In Sufi doctrine, this corresponds to the Maqam al-Jam wal al-Farq, the station of unity within distinction. The initiate realizes that opposites are modes of the same light. Hence, the royal secret is the esoteric Tawheed, beyond all polarity. And that's why, spes en me Dio est, right? My faith is in God, with the story of Constance in the 32nd degree. The 33rd degree, often seen as the highest honorary degree, symbolizes transcendence beyond form. Its eagle bears a crown of 13 stars, the perfected states of the soul. The initiate becomes an inspector general, one who has inspected both the macrocosm and microcosm and found them reflections of the One. In metaphysical terms, this degree represents fanafi Allah, annihilation in the divine essence. The two heads now merge into a single awareness. As the Quran says, to God belong the east and the west. Wherever you turn, there is the face of God. In Surah 2, verse 115. The Masonic motto, Ordo ab Chaos, order from chaos, echoes the Quranic theme of creation emerging from divine decree. He says, be, and it is, kun fayakun, from Surah 36, verse 82. Chaos is not evil, but undifferentiated potential. Through divine command, it becomes cosmos, the ordered manifestation of names. Sufi cosmology likewise interprets chaos, Amma, as the cloud of unknowing from which God creates. The double-headed eagle, ruling over order and chaos, reflects the Lord of the two Easts, the one who brings opposites into harmony. During the Crusades, the Knights Templar encountered Muslim mystics, philosophers, and artisans in the Levant. Chroniclers record exchanges of ideas between Templars and Sufi orders like the Ismailis and the Brethren of Purity, the Ikhwan al-Safa. These meetings transmitted esoteric geometry, alchemical lore, and initiatic discipline to Europe. Scholars such as Idris Shah argued that early Masonic traditions inherited much from these interactions, including the emphasis on secrecy, brotherhood, and symbolic architecture. The Templar eagle later merged with the Masonic one, thus has Islamic antecedents. The Levant was a crossroads of initiatic exchange. The Templars' proximity to Sufi khanqahs, Rite, which are Sufi lodges, and Fatimid lodges, exposed them to disciplines of silence, ritual, and geometry. Arabic manuscripts found in Templar libraries contain Hermetic and philosophical texts, later echoed in Masonic catechisms. While the historical documentation is fragmentary, the symbolic resonance is unmistakable. Both traditions value inner purification, sacred architecture, and the ascent of the soul through degrees of initiation. The Illuminationist Ishraqi school of Suhrawardi taught that reality is a hierarchy of lights descending from the light of lights. Right? Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth, and Masons are always seeking light as well. This cosmology inspired later Renaissance esotericists such as Robert Flood and Anathanius Kircher, whose ideas informed early Freemasonry. In this lineage, the double-headed eagle becomes the bird of illumination, uniting Eastern and Western wisdom, Ishraqi light philosophy, and Hermetic initiation. Thus, Masonic symbolism indirectly inherits an Islamic metaphysical architecture. Sufi orders such as the Qadariyya, Shadiliyya, and Naqshbandiyya operate through initiation, bay'ah, ethical refinement, adab, and symbolic hierarchy, maqamat. Similarly, Freemasonry uses degrees, oaths, and symbols to cultivate moral and spiritual ascent. Both trace their structure to the archetypal wisdom traditions, the school of prophets and sages. The eagle, as emblem of the awakened intellect, Ruh al-Aql, unites these currents across time. In Sufi theology, Allah manifests through dual attributes, Jalal, majesty, and Jamal, beauty. Creation exists within their tension. The double-headed eagle symbolizes this perpetual balance, awe and love, rigor and grace, that sustains cosmic order. Freemasonry's doctrine of balance between justice and mercy parallels this metaphysical truth. The initiate must harmonize both forces within himself to ascend spiritually. The eagle becomes an emblem of this realized equilibrium. The Masonic temple, like the Sufi lodge, is a microcosm of the universe. Its geometry mirrors divine proportion. Each symbol, angle, and number corresponds to spiritual realities. The eagle poised above the temple is the intellect surveying creation from the axis of unity, right? Just like the Simurgh in the Conference of the Birds. This shared geometry suggests a single initiatic science underlying both East and West, a science of inner architecture. Through contemplation of such symbols, the seeker builds the invisible temple of wisdom within. Today's scholars and esoteric thinkers alike view the double-headed eagle as a cross-cultural symbol of integration, the harmony of spiritual insight and temporal responsibility. Its persistence across religions suggests an archetype embedded in human consciousness. In both Islamic and Masonic symbolism, the eagle calls humanity to ascend beyond division, to unite East and West within the heart. In this synthesis, the seeker glimpses the one behind all traditions. Here I will briefly mention Frederick of Prussia, guardian of the Rite, and you will see why in a bit. So, Frederick II of Prussia, also known as Frederick the Great, played a foundational role in formalizing the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite in the 18th century. He was not just a monarch, but a philosopher king, deeply interested in mysticism and Masonic ideals. Under his influence, the Scottish Rite became a vessel for the esoteric teachings of the Knights Templar, and he is credited with safeguarding their deeper secrets within the structure of the 33 degrees. Frederick's vision was not about ritual for ritual's sake. It was about preserving light through dark times. And for those in the Philadelphia area or those that know about this area, the King of Prussia Mall and the King of Prussia area is named after Frederick the Great. Why I mention this is because in the 33rd and final degree of the Scottish Rite, the initiate is given a shocking revelation, right? The truth that he is symbolically the spiritual descendant of the true Knights Templar who survived after fleeing to Scotland. And that initiate, right, the Sovereign Grand Inspector General, which in my opinion should be called the 33rd degree Knight Templar instead of, the Inspector General. He is instructed to uphold the legacy of Jacques de Molay and to swear a spiritual vengeance against the historical enemies of the Templars, namely the Knights of Malta. This vengeance is not one of violence, but of remembrance and truth-telling. The candidate learns the truth that was buried by the Church, that the Templars carried hidden knowledge from the East, safeguarded by mystics, Sufis, and Moors. The Masonic double-headed eagle is not merely an emblem of a fraternity, but a mirror of a universal spiritual truth, the unity of duality. In Sufism, it corresponds to the perfected soul that sees with two eyes, one of transcendence, one of immanence. Both gaze upon the same reality. From ancient Mesopotamia to modern Masonry, from Quranic cosmology to esoteric philosophy, the eagle reminds us that wisdom is double-winged, one of faith, one of reason, both carrying the seeker toward the infinite. Here are some references and sources that I recommend. Please take a moment to pause the video if needed, to take a snapshot or take notes of all of the things that I mentioned here, which will aid you in your studies. Thank you so much for watching. If any questions or comments, please email me at salmansheikh911@gmail.com. And again, all my work is for the purpose of nonprofit, education, entertainment purposes, free speech, and of course under the copyright laws of fair use. So thank you so much. All rights reserved.